Okay, selection of drives. Currently ExFat plugged in. I have erased everything off this 2 terabytes. There's nothing on here anymore. We're now in disk utility. Do this right. So what we're going to do is go to erase. That's fine. Just do journals, and it should work fine. I don't know if, I'm not sure what that is. This is, as far as I know, it's the cross platform between Mac and Apple. So I'm just going to do journals. Don't know what the case sensitive thing is. And I'm going to hit erase. Don't know why it's asking me that. I don't. Options, I don't. It's asking me if I want a time machine or something. No, I don't want a time machine. Something I don't. Please click show details. Okay, so unmounting disk erasing initialized, and it looks like it's back. Initialized case sensitive HF plus form. Don't know what that means. Mounting disk. Okay, done. So don't know why it's saying that. So let's just double check what this says now. Okay, so now it's Mac OS journals. And we can stick. So I should have this maybe a bit more prepared. Can I get this? There it is. No. This is a little bit more difficult. Bear with me. We're awkward. Okay. Okay. Whoa. Good camera work. Now, I think even when I tried to do this before from the rear, it was slow doing it to that. So technically, this is no longer, okay? There's now Mac, hard to do with one hand, OS, journals, okay? There's no longer ExFat. So let's go to the Ninja, which is ExFat, and we're just gonna try and copy the file in case. Let's just mark that up as well. So I'm just gonna make that green, then I'll know. All right, let's watch how fast this works. So copy into the 2 terabyte. Saying 6 minutes, 10 minutes, that's not particularly great. Nope, it's dropping quite considerably there. And it's reading much, much more consistently, as you can see here. So this was the biggest issue I found before when I had it set up as ExFat, was just the inability to kind of just keep clocking forward. Now it's going to 3 minutes. So the initial read was quite a bit bigger, saying 10 minutes, but that estimate changed quite radically. Looks like this will probably be done. I don't know if it's worth me filming the whole thing, but according to this, it's going to be done in 2 minutes. It's not quite halfway there. I don't know. Is that like 2/3 of the way? But I'm not seeing what I was seeing before, which is a consistent problem on the right. And I think one of the things I would notice, the read seems okay when you connect an ExFat drive. It's the write that seems to be having a problem. And just to clarify, the ExFat drive that is connected is running currently to the rear of the computer, plugged into a Thunderbolt 4 port. That is being driven to now what is a Mac OS journaled 2 terabyte SSD Samsung T7 plugged into the front using the USB-C, whatever Gen 2 connection. And we are coming up on, I'd probably say that took about, I don't know, 2 odd minutes and change, which is not too bad for like a 60 gigabyte file. I think that's what I found with by connecting to the rear ports again and transferring everything through Thunderbolt 4, it was around like anywhere from 60 gigabytes to 100 gigabytes. The files were copying around 2 or 3 minutes. So, and it's not ejected to drive. That's another thing. It seems to totally have accepted it. I'm gonna have to run a couple different tests to see how this works. I think the other thing with this is that also, when this is finished, is then to take the file and try and copy the file from this drive through this port. What I'll probably do is I'll just switch the ports, like I'll eject it, and then because the right one will always seem to be the issue. And it's finished. I don't know how long that actually physically took. All right, so we're gonna eject the Ninja just because, and we're gonna eject this one as well. And we're gonna try different ports. So I know this is a bit of a long video. So now what we're gonna do, again, macOS journaled. We're gonna plug that in here. And I think I don't like how long it takes to mount. That's really just disconcerting. Really? It's still not mounted. Okay. This is where I sometimes just go, what the hell is going on? Because that's plugged in and the drive's not mounting. So there may still be an issue. I'm gonna try this again with that port. Okay. It's kind of terrifying. And you saw I didn't edit that or anything like that. I'm not getting it. And you can see here, it's not coming up. Okay. And I definitely ejected the disk. So let's try plugging it into this one. There it goes. So there's something wrong with the right. I still think there's something wrong with the right port. Now, every time I tried to do this before, running what was ExFat through one of these ports, this file specifically would fail. So now we're going to try and copy it. We're just going to copy it straight to the desktop. My hope, my guess here is this is going to work fine. And it's going to do it in under a minute. A little alarming that it wouldn't even read on the right port, which speaks to maybe a cache. I don't know, maybe what I need to do is restart the computer, but it still speaks to, I think, some issues that Mac's got about protocol, I don't know, USB buses, how they communicate with drives, and none of that's it's a bug that they need to fix all that. And very disconcerting that 4 ports basically, for me, unless they're macOS journal, they're kind of like, unless the drives are macOS journal, they're not really useful to me. So, all right, here we go. So it seems to be handling it. It's not crashing. Hopefully I haven't spoken too soon. Again, you can see that the write is consistent. That was the big thing I was noticing with the ExFat, was just like, it would write really quick, then it would fit, like stop, write, quick, write. And this is just consistent, you know? And these are the speeds I was expecting. It's like, look, you know, Apple was like, it's not Thunderbolt 4. I was like, I know that. It's a USB-C is fine. It's 4K, this is even 4K footage. This is just HD, but it's ProRes, which is crazy because that's a Apple codec in an Apple. Yep, fine. Okay, so that's one test of many to come, but I think we pretty well ascertained at this point in time that the issue, and let's see if we'll try this while I'm here, so you can see, I'll just hit play, and you can see the file, and that's working fine. No problem whatsoever. Okay, so no problems copying the file, which is the first time through the front port that's occurred. I'm just gonna erase that. Right, I'm going to eject this. What I am concerned about is the fact that I can't seem to get it to read on that right port. Maybe I can connect, and bear with me, this is gonna be a bit fiddly. Sometimes you gotta terminate, re-terminate, and plug it in. Come on. That's not promising, but I think that may be something where I potentially could reboot the computer and it will pop back up. But again, it may be software, or as I pointed out to them, a actual issue specifically with these front ports. But look, the key part here that I've been able to establish, and because it's not showing up, I'm gonna have to eject this again, or not eject it, excuse me, pull the cable out. I'm gonna now mount it. I'll have to do all the rear USB-A ports to test this through as well. And there you go, it's back. The other question is copying the file back, let's say, to, this is really boring, but let's see how well this works. Because I was having problems with this before as well. I was trying to make transfers between the rear to the front for backups, and I know this is really boring, but so we're just gonna, I don't know, call this a test. And today is what, the 13th, oops, test 13/6/2023. All right, so all I'm gonna do, and I know this is dreadfully boring, we're going from a macOS Journal USB-C port that works currently to the Ninja V, the SSD, is Western Digital Blue at the back, Thunderbolt 4 port. And we're just gonna see if we can copy that file without any real issues. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. If anything, it'll probably, this is 3 minutes. I imagine that file, it'll say 3, and then eventually it'll probably drop down to 1 or something like that. It's a bit of a shame that they don't give you a breakdown on the right speed here, other than in gigabits or megabytes, when in theory it should really be, transfer speed should be done in megabits or gigabits, so you can see what it's actually doing. But this seems to be working. I don't seem to be having any issues. Well, the only dominant or evident issue is this, the fact that this port over here doesn't seem to be working. So 3 minutes, it's not too bad. I mean, it's a 60 gigabyte file. It would be nicer. I mean, obviously you're also limited by how fast this writes and how fast that writes, but it's handling it. It's not completely freaking out. And the key part, again, emphasize this again, is this just constantly moving, which well before that was an issue. This video is coming up on 13 minutes. I don't know. I mean, there's not much else I can do, providing what I understand at this point in time. I think it's pretty well established that here's the problem that I really run into. I cannot, this is how they format their drives. And this currently is what I use when I'm filming, you know. And it's not like, I don't even give me the files. Yeah. So there's the footage. And it is, you know, so look at it. Anyhow. That is ExFat. Not that I want to rewrite that, but if I go back into, and I think that this file is probably copied. Let's have a look. Almost. So again, it's not as quick, but you know, limited to the SSDs, that's fine. I can accept that. We're not looking at things taking 30 minutes or an hour or 3 hours like we were before with these huge problems with copying. It's going through a slower forward back to something else that's ExFat. Doesn't really matter. But the point is, it is working. It'd be nice if it was a little bit quicker, but it is actually working. It's probably doing it in 2 minutes, something like that. It's not too bad for a 60 gigabyte file. So, don't know why you're doing that. Yeah, so if I were to go in here, and I think, I don't know why it's doing this. Hold on. There it goes. So the current drive on here, if I were to, as you can see right here, it just knows the brand. If I rewrite that, that will be rewritten as ExFat. There's no way for me to change. I could write to, I don't know, but at the end of the day, there's a specific reason why they have it as ExFat, as it states it here. And that's so it could be written or copied to a PC or a Mac. So I believe this is an issue that needs to be directly dealt with within Apple for them to fix the protocol or whatever is the issue with the read writes in regards to ExFat. You can't just make it like, oh no, it's only going to work with macOS journaled. I think the only saving grace that I have is I got 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports at the back, 2 of which I'm using for monitors. But it means I'm sacrificing a Thunderbolt 4 port and always having to keep a cable potentially plugged in, and I have to reach around the back, and it completely makes this front I/O useless. Even that, potentially going to run tests on those. So, you know, I bought the computer back, I think the first week of January I picked it up, and I've been struggling with this. The first time I brought it into Apple in February, and no one had an answer for me, and I've taken it back, and it's only through my own process that I've kind of been able to discern this. Not entirely to the people at the Apple Store's fault, but obviously if all they're working with is macOS journal drives and disk images, they're not working with large video files, as I pointed out to them. I don't think they would take a copy of this file. I think I offered, but they don't, and they're not working with obviously ExFat drives. They're working with Mac drives, which is kind of silly. So I hope maybe this might be useful to other people as well if you're feeling this frustration. I gotta try and do some other drives to see whether or not, like, I've got another, like, reformatting one of these and seeing, I don't know what'll happen if I try and plug this in. I don't think it'll work. I think I'll have to reformat it, just won't recognize it on the Ninja. But just to check that, like, again, that's, you know, again, that we can copy, and I'll run a test with that. But it just makes it a real pain because I've got a whole drawer of drives that are formatted ExFat. It's done like that so I could if I need to. I don't need to do it massively all the time, but I can transfer files to someone with a PC. So Apple just fix this and hopefully I can get that port working. It just kind of feels like everything's going to be macOS journaled. It's like, that's just not realistic for people who work. And these computers are supposed to be media industry computers. I mean, this is a killer machine. And I feel like I'm being hindered on a massive scale. Okay, so today is the 13th of June. It's just gone 9:30.